If you clicked on this video, chances are you're questioning your relationship, wondering if it's time to walk away or at least do some evaluating. But before you decide to pull the plug and just end it all, you should probably know that science tells us that most relationships don't end because of one big fight or just one dramatic moment. Rather, they end gradually. And guess what? It is 100% avoidable. So if you want something real, something that can actually last, you first need to understand the 3 reasons why most relationships fail, and what you can do to avoid it, of course. Let's get into that. Think back when you first met your partner. The butterflies, the excitement, that dopamine rush. It was like your whole world had a romantic glow up. Then reality hit and that filter kind of fell off. So why don't you feel that anymore? Reason 1, hedonic adaptation. Psychologists Philip Brickman and Donald T. Campbell conducted an experiment that helps us understand this principle. They studied lottery winners and paraplegics, 2 groups whose lives had been completely flipped upside down recently. At first, the lottery winners were, of course, on top of the world, spending money like there was no tomorrow. And understandably, the paraplegics were simply devastated. But here's where things got weird. Within a year, both of the groups returned to their original happiness levels. Yeah, the people who won millions and the people who lost their mobility in their lives both ended up just as happy or unhappy as they were before. Thus, we can call that hedonic adaptation, our brain's way of adjusting to huge life changes and then just kind of dragging you back to your default emotional setting. And guess what? Love works the same way. Suddenly, the same person who once gave you butterflies with just a glance is now the one who always leaves the toilet seat up. Isn't that adorable little mess your partner used to be? Not so adorable now, huh? We humans are just inherently wired to seek novelty in our lives. This novelty-seeking behavior is linked to the brain's dopamine system, which is the same system that rewards us with feelings of pleasure when we encounter new experiences. While this trait once served humans as a legitimate survival mechanism to help us explore new environments, new food sources, and even new potential mates, it nowadays leads us to restlessness and the misconception that a new partner will just totally solve the boredom of the current relationship that you're in. Surprisingly enough, in most cases, people don't just simply fall out of love. Their brains simply get used to each other, which leads us to reason number 2. Reason number 2, the grass is greener fallacy. Psychology states that having too many options can lead to something called decision paralysis, where us humans just constantly wonder if we could have made a better choice. So, even if the current relationship is healthy or even awesome, they can't shake off the feeling that a better person exists out there somewhere. Kind of like when you buy the newest and latest gadget because my old one is outdated, or everyone's getting it, only to realize that the battery life is way worse and the camera totally sucks. Turns out the better option wasn't even worth it. Once you start searching for something better, you'll soon realize that the idea of a perfect partner is far from reality and is just a total hoax. Sometimes the grass is not greener because there's more shit in the grass. And guess what? There's always going to be shit. But by the time you realize the grass is greener where you water and clean it, it's usually a bit too late. Reason 3, the peak end rule sabotage. First identified by Nobel Prize-winning psychologist Daniel Kahneman, the peak end rule states that people don't remember entire experiences. They only remember the most intense moments and the ending. So, in relationships, a single bad fight can trick your brain into believing the entire relationship was a disaster, even if 99% of it was incredible. But how did we get here? Unresolved conflicts, of course. Relationships don't simply crumble because one partner is occasionally upset. They deteriorate due to unresolved issues that fester over time. Doctors John and Julie Gottman, who are renowned relationship experts, discovered that a whopping 69% of relationship problems are perpetual problems. So, no matter how much sex you have or how many cool dates you go on, there's always going to be ongoing issues that come from fundamental differences. Like one of you being a neat freak and the other living comfortably in organized chaos. And of course, at the end of our day, no one's perfect. If your goal is to nitpick every flaw, then maybe the single life is more your speed. No worries though, it's not totally your fault. Your brain does a perfectly great job at betraying you. When you argue, your brain pulls a nasty trick. It deletes every sweet moment you've ever had with your partner and zooms in only on the fight. Suddenly, your years of love, support, and good memories just get wiped from your mental hard drive, and all you can think is, was this relationship a mistake? But have no fear, I'm here to help with this. To break this pattern, all we need to do is rewire your brain's focus. And the best way? Well, of course, with the following tips that I'm about to share with you. Number 1, the 90-day rule. Anytime you feel like the relationship isn't working out, instead of breaking up immediately, give yourself time to sit with your feelings. Rationalizing emotions can be tough, but it helps you to think clearly. You don't make decisions on the days that you suffer huge losses or experience a dopamine hit from big wins. So it goes both ways. This time frame gives both of you a chance to work through initial challenges, see if the excitement of the honeymoon phase fades into anything deeper, and understand if you're truly compatible. It's about not rushing to judgment during moments of frustration and giving the relationship a fair shot to evolve and to stabilize. After 90 days, then you can assess whether it's worth continuing. Is it a real problem or just a temporary frustration? Number 2, the 5-to-1 ratio. Remember those unresolved conflicts? Science found that arguments swept under the rug, proverbially of course, not literally, are what lead to emotional detachment and then eventually breakups. What really separates thriving couples from those who fall apart is the 5-to-1 ratio of positive to negative interactions. Simply meaning for every fight, successful couples balance it with 5 or more moments of love, laughter, or connection. Research by psychologist Arthur Aron found that couples who engaged in exciting and novel activities together reported higher relationship satisfaction and even renewed attraction. This has been called the shared experience reset. It doesn't have to be anything crazy like skydiving or an all-expenses-paid trip to Dubai, unless that's your jam and you're able to. But even small, unexpected gestures can reset your brain's perspective. Also, if you don't want to be celibate for your whole life, avoid saying things like, "Stop being such a slob." Instead, nudge them towards small changes like keeping shared spaces tidy or aiming to be on time. Sure, they might slip up, but these tiny adjustments can simplify recurring conflicts. You can't change the fact that your partner is perpetually late or leaves socks everywhere. Sure, it might drive you nuts, but accepting these quirks and setting gentle boundaries can make these perpetual issues more manageable for both people involved. So, after learning a ton of science experiments on why your brain tricks you into breaking up and some solutions how to fix it, you might be feeling a little bit overwhelmed. But here's the best secret. You don't have to fix everything at once. Small and intentional shifts, baby steps if you will, can transform your relationship more than you think, because this last brain trick may be one of the most important. Number 3, cognitive reframing. This isn't just your typical feel-good advice. It's a scientifically backed method that can literally rewire your brain's perspective on your relationship. Instead of fixating on your partner's flaws or attempting to change their ways, actively focus on their positive traits and what they bring to your life. Studies on gratitude interventions prove that regularly expressing appreciation for your partner not only reduces conflict, but it also helps to deepen emotional bonds and reignites connection between the two of you. Your partner gets a new hairstyle, so compliment them. Tell them how much you enjoy their company. All these little things. By applying these sort of strategies, pausing before making big decisions, creating new memories, and practicing gratitude, you can navigate even the toughest challenges that relationships have to offer. Love is not about avoiding problems. Love is about learning how to work through them together. So the next time you and your partner hit a rough patch, don't just sit in the negativity. Change the scene. Try something new. Create fresh memories. Because the secret to a long-lasting love, it is not avoiding fights. It's knowing how to bounce back from them, and at the end of the day, understanding how your brain works in relationships is the ultimate cheat code. Are you going to let your brain sabotage your love life, or are you going to take control and make it thrive? Well, if you've made it to the end of this video, we really hope you see success with these tactics. We'd also like to thank you for watching and remind you to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already subscribed to our channel.